interesting to you, we can do another one about that. But what you learned today is transferable, right? So we can repeat this, but effectively, you know, let me actually look at my notes real quick, because every one of these are a little bit different. Yeah, so if anybody else wants to share why they're here, what made them curious to show up, and what their background is.
So I work with this platform called Airtable.
Oh yeah?
And I keep hearing about people using Airtable with Bubble.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I've never used Bubble, I'd like to see what that looks like.
Yeah, that's good. So Airtable is a great, it falls into the no-code category. It's a database. It's a fancy Microsoft Word, it's a fancy Google Sheets, and it is very much used as a database for a lot of these apps. What we're gonna do today, we're gonna keep it in the family. We're just gonna use the 3 tabs that make software possible, that being front end, back end, and database. And Bubble actually comes out of the box with that. You can always expand. That's beyond the scope of this lecture, but you can very much attach Airtable, and that's actually quite a good idea, depending on the use case. Yeah. Anybody else? What do you do? I know what you do.
Yeah, right. I work with resiliency for Code4Y'all as a security analyst, and you know, I really had a non-technical background, so I was really curious to know how to do app development without coding and you know all of that. So
yeah. Awesome. You're welcome. Anybody else? You, ma'am? I remember you.
Yeah, so I'm actually a software developer, but front end is kind of like my weak point. I'm more of a back-end developer, so when it comes to front end, I'm always lost, and it takes me a really long time to come up with like a nice looking front end. So I wanted to explore options where I could take care of the front end part through resources like this, and then do the back end myself.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, so that's another way people. So I do work with some data folks, some backend folks. You know, we're doing something in the social space for sentiment analysis and for what we call the pulse of the city of Houston. So we're kind of analyzing how people are feeling about certain topics, and so we use machine learning and stuff like that. But our approach is to just basically meet at a coffee shop and just hack it. Like just chill and hack it. So we've actually done this a couple of times, and so we use no-code tools specifically, and then we just call on some, you know, some back end that I'm not smart enough to build, but you are, and so you know, so we've been doing things like, you know, Lambda instances where I'm just building something in Bubble, and we're just basically, you know, doing like man on the street stuff. So we're actually recording people on the street. And then we're able to just take that from the front end and send it to this and send it back to me, so that all that unstructured data, so the recording actually gets structured and we get it back on the front. So this, again, it's a very powerful platform. There are some that are prettier, but this one should give you, you know, a good enough starting point. Anybody else? Yes, sir.
What URL should we be on?
So if you want to play with the app that I built, which is kind of baby Instagram, you can go to this QR code, and I'll explain what this is and what it does. But you can just go to this QR code and just scroll on your feed. You can make an account on
subdomain version first.
Yeah, and so I would say if you're on your phone, just play with it. As if it were Instagram, you can register. I can just delete your email after. You just have a fake email. Like I'm actually not even doing any checks. So you can do like a@b.com, 123 password. And you can change your avatar, and you can like photos, and you can upload photos. In fact, you can take a photo of the room or whatever you want. So you can actually see it populate in real time. And I'll show you how that magic happens. Anyone else? I see a lot of stickers on your laptop, which means you're a developer of sorts or a designer.
Wannabe. I'm a wannabe. I'm a librarian.
Librarian? Okay, well, you're as cool if not cooler than developers. So books are the code of the yesteryear, right? Anyone else, reasons why you came, interest, topics of interest, what you want to get out of this? Like, what would success look like at the end of this? I don't know, how long do we have, like 30 minutes? I've been talking for 30, so am I at time? Is this good night? What's going on? Steve, what am I doing?
Oh,
He's gone.
You can do anything now.
I'm sorry?
You can do anything now.
I can do anything now, yes, I can do anything.
Sorry, I just came and just trying to figure out about your bubble. As I understand it, it's some kind of template builder, right?
No.
No?
That's WordPress. No, so Bubble is effectively a full stack visual programming platform. So it abstracts the complexity of code, whether it's logic or data or front end, with, I call them Lego blocks. So you can actually build almost like Lego blocks, but you gotta use your brain to make that work, right? So there's no just like anything else, like Tailwind arguably is a template.
So,
Bootstrap is a template, but you can very much add. So I never start with templates because I don't have time to debug templates.
you mean MVC, model view controller, right?
Correct.
Oh, so.
I mean, you could
It's
say,
okay.
like we could say that, right? So I was having this conversation recently about the model. So for me, the way that I translate that, right, is front end, back end, and data. That's that. Again, we can argue about it, but that's not that. So for me, I have to make things really, really simple. I have to kind of, wow, who took that terrible photo of me? See, but it works, right? So this guy Dolan, that's you, and you can change your avatar, by the way. And so if you want to, you can change your name, you can change your password, and all that kind of stuff. You'll see that this actually works. Yeah, so in a way, the 3 tenets of software, again, so I'm a big advocate for E like 5, explain like I'm 5, because I am 5 intellectually, so you have to talk to me like I'm 5. But generally speaking, when you are approaching a new concept, you have to really break it down in a simple way. So the 3 tabs here at the top, so we have design, which I have to explain simply as the front end. So anything front end is what is in front of you, right? So what you can touch, so like buttons, things that you can actually see, that's your front end. I know that it's not scientifically correct, but it's good enough. And then we have front, and then we have the back end. The back end is sort of what I like to compare to what's under the hood of your car. Like you know, when you put the key in the car, if you even have one of those older cars, the car just starts. You don't really, there's an engine spinning. You can see something's going on, but the car just runs, right? So, and there's the information like how fast you're going, how much gas you have, and that's kind of your data. So that's kind of that information that changes over time, and what glues all of that together is the logic, right? So business logic for the OGs, and so logic, and here we call it workflow. So we're not really gonna dive into styles. Sorry, I know you want to learn about front end, but it's yeah, we can look at some of this. Plugins, we have some ways to connect to external APIs. So that's most of the stuff that I do is actually talk to external APIs, such as Airtable. Wait, you work at Airtable or with Airtable?
With Airtable.
Okay. We have settings and logs. So so nobody else is taking photos. That doesn't mean that. So by the way, this app was built for another workshop, and so these are actually AI generated images of historical figures. And so this was also done in Bubble. So we had connected some APIs like DALL-E and stuff like that. And so we were actually able to talk to to AI through a front end built in Bubble. Front end, for those who need a refresher, is really what is in front of you. So we built an interface that allowed us to type in text and then push the button and say, give me back a photo of, I believe this was John Lennon smoking a cigarette on the, I don't know, I don't know if is he smoking this year? Or he's smoking something. And so then we have MLK. I think this might have happened around MLK Day, so I think there was a few of these. So I kept these because they were actually interesting. I think this was like MLK in the style of Picasso, right? So I kept these to kind of populate the platform, and of course you can do that. So when we look at a platform like this, which is kind of baby Instagram, we have a few elements on our front end. So we have some text, we have some photos, we have this like button, we have some text. And so the front end, so what we look at, what we're able to interact with, is actually fed by a database. A database is literally a spreadsheet, all right? And to build this app, I used two tables. One for users, so whoever signed up is in this spreadsheet, and whoever posted is in this spreadsheet. I'm sorry, whatever was posted. The difference between a regular spreadsheet and the type of databases that we use is that these tables can actually talk to one another, and that's called relational database, because there's a relation. So we can actually attribute and assign posts to users. So this post was created by, in fact here it's called created by, this user. Additionally, this is probably too complicated too soon, but does anybody who actually hasn't done this before, so not you, know, now that we know that there's two tables, just to build this kind of Instagram type app, you can post something as a user. If I were to like something, if I were to love something, and that counts, so if anybody's actually logged in and wants to, you're still logged in, if you want to like something, you can, and we can see that count go up. Can anybody kind of guess what that is in our database if we only have two tables? So if we only have a list of users, so me, you, her, and then he posted this photo. Can anybody guess what happens when you actually click that like button? Has anybody ever wondered what happens when you click a like button or a love button or whatever button? You would think that, right? You could, and it could very well be, okay?
I was just guessing the URL, it's not the URL, the email address gets added and gets counted as a +1.
So, yeah.
There's a column right there that says likes.
This is an open book test. So the answer is on the screen. So you saw it and you saw it. Yeah, so effectively, yeah. So you're actually, this is again too much too soon, but when somebody likes something, that somebody actually enters this array, this table, and I can actually unlike something and I will disappear from that table. So just because we're on this table, that's what it is. So, and then how do we string it all together? That's with logic, right? So this is that Lego block I was talking about. So let me actually go, so I'm actually on this page. So this is my builder. Nothing really looks like much because everything is dynamic, which means that instead of me actually, for example, with an Airtable or with a WordPress, we have to basically say, upload all my photos from my vacation and show all the photos. I have 73 photos and they're just gonna be displayed out there like an album. This is actually dynamic. We're actually inserting information in the database, and multiple users can do that at at any given time. So, so that's why on here on the front end of my builder, everything kind of says parent group's name, parent group's post image, So it doesn't actually know what to show you until you deploy it, until you preview it. And so I'm only showing this kind of skeleton, this kind of blueprint. But when I actually deploy it, then it'll know to call on that database and say, hey, whatever is in that table, whatever is in here, and that's the back end and front end relationship. So this is basically just a spreadsheet. This is just kind of raw data. It doesn't look like much. If we didn't need things to look pretty, we would just all live in Microsoft Word, never worry about like, double tapping and swiping and all that stuff. But we want to have that, and so we build front end to actually represent data. But so how do we actually connect the two? So you just like something, thank you for liking. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And so for the YouTube as well there. And so we use this tab right here. That's actually, so you can see that these blocks actually have some English in them. When, right? And then there's all this like naming, like button, etc. So when this icon, which I can preview, which is the like icon, when this is clicked, so we're starting to actually, we're actually starting to create some logic. We call this logic. We call it workflow here, but you can refer to that. We can refer as logic. When we click that icon, what happens? So I built this logic. I'll show you exactly what that does. And you'll be like, go to page login. But we thought we were gonna add that user. We thought we were gonna like that photo. But I'm going to the page login only when the current user is logged out. You can follow this, right? It's pretty easy to follow. And I'll show you what that looks like. If that's not true, if that logic is not true, then go to the next step, which is make changes to a post. And what are we changing? We're changing the current post, the photo we're looking at. And we are adding that user, that email, into the database. So we're adding, so this is where you have to kind of read between the no code. But this is effectively English. So I'm gonna click that like button. And you can see that by the login button being present, I am logged out. So we said, when you click that icon, go to the page login only when the user, myself, is logged out. So I'm gonna click this thinking I'm gonna like that photo, but no, it's gonna say, nah dude, you gotta log in, right? And I actually have never logged in, right? So I actually now wanna go to sign up. So I can go sign up, and I can say, I don't know, dnd.com, just put a fake password. I'm gonna sign up, and I'm gonna show you what that. So a lot of folks that do HTML, CSS, JavaScript, they could never tell you how that this is authentication, like login and password. They could never tell you how that works. That's very intimidating for some, right? Because you actually have to manage users, you have to manage passwords. So I'll show you how that works as well. So now that I'm in, you can see I have a couple of different options I didn't have before. Like I have a follow button, and I can follow this person. I just followed you, but I'm gonna unfollow you just for this demo. I'm gonna follow you back later. So we learned what happens when we actually click these buttons. So can anybody tell us what happens if when we click that love button, we go into somebody's table? What would happen when we click that follow button instead?
No, same thing.
The same thing. The same thing. If we would actually go into that person's table, so I'm going to follow, and literally the same thing just happened. So we're going to go to users, and we're going to have followers, and that's me, DMD, and I'm following him. So I showed you follow and likes, the same exact principle. Like for example, if you know products like Product Hunt, you can upvote or you can downvote. It's the same thing. You're just adding or removing an item to a list of things, and in this case we have a list of users. If this was an Amazon cart, you are adding or removing not a user but a product. So it's going to be a table called products, right? So I'm trying to just cram it all in 30 seconds. But you can see how we can go to Amazon, we can go to, you know, if you want to buy a book on whatever platform you use, if you want to buy a song, if you want to buy a movie, it is the same exact thing. You just call this table literally movies, or items, or products, or this is blinds.com building, so Home Depot, buy a screwdriver, and you call it items, or products, or tools. It's the same thing. So, I know it's not the simplest concept if you've never touched upon it before, but is it somewhat clear? Is it somewhat resonating to some of you? Anybody lost? Anybody super lost? No? Alright, if you're lost, I'll come find you. So, authentication is when you, sign up for a profile, you create an account, or you log into an account. So, let me show you. So, I can log out, and I can go to this screen. So, let's actually do sign up, right? Sign up, right? Yeah, so here we have, for the front end, people that are actually front end, this is super simple. We've got 3 fields, right? These are just text fields. Now, different fields have different properties. They can accept different things. So when you are maybe trying to make a donation or something, or a tip, that field is not going to accept letters like ABC. So we're going to like 1, 1, 2, 3, right? Some other, as you can see, they're going to mask, right? They're not going to let me see what text I'm typing in. And then there's also things like, I didn't write this logic, but effectively you should have validation, which means, hey, this field does not, see, please include the @, right? So there's multiple ways to do that. But in practice, on the front end, so I'm gonna get into this kind of like drag and drop builder, but I wanted to show just dissect and break up the app real quick, just to show how easy it is. So if you want to build an Instagram for your family, for your work, for your office, for whatever, it's that it's just 2 tables with, what is it, like 5 fields each, like data types, post has a description. Oh yeah, so a great way to look at things in the data based sense at this low level of complexity. You have to think about who are the players, what are some of the objects that are involved in this thing that I'm building. So I'm gonna have people, and we call them users. And by the way, I know you're recording this, but this is from a book. The only 2 industries in which you call your customers users are software and drug dealing. So with that recording, you can find it said that original. I'm just quoting somebody, but that's true. So, so I think about it. I'm like, all right. So I have to have these people, which we call users, and they're gonna have a username. So your handle, sometimes called handle, or your username, and then I'm gonna say they need to have an avatar or a profile picture, and then I'm gonna say the users are gonna have followers, which is effectively a list, an array of users, right? And the way to think about this too is a user can have a name, a single name, but a user can have many followers. And this is what we call the one-to-one or one-to-many relation in the relation, right? You confirming that, right? I need people to testify that I'm not lying to you, because no code is again, I'm just explaining it super basic, but sometimes I have seasoned devs in the audience, and so it's always nice to get that confirmation, not for myself, but for the others, to know that we're effectively talking about real concepts. And here also we say, okay, we want to have posts. And you probably are thinking, wait, didn't you say that you have to think about like users have followers, but also users have posts, right? So you can have that. Sometimes I just simplify that. I just kind of like don't include it on the user level. I just make me a post table and I say a post has one creator. And then I just kind of architect the table to show things in the way that I like. But technically you could go here and you could say user, and I'm gonna make, so a user is a data type, and then I can have a data field. So this is again super simple. You can say, okay, so we're talking about posts. So I'm gonna say posts. And now for the Airtable users, you'll recognize some of these things. So if you're in Microsoft, I kept saying Word, but I really meant Excel. Yeah. You can have text, you can have number, you can have a range, a date, an interval, yes or no, which is a Boolean. That's a true or false statement. But then you can also have a file. But then we can also reference other tables like image tables or addresses, right? So that's where also these more advanced kind of spreadsheets exist. So I'm going to say a user can have multiple posts, and all I got to do is say, okay, this is multiple entries. Again, bubble looks super ugly. I know you're recording this, so just so you know, bubble, you look really ugly. But for those who are watching, and so. But effectively, it is an array. It is a list of things, and then here we have now a list of images, which is referencing posts. So anyway, this is just a way to connect. I'm gonna delete it. I shouldn't, because I might break it. It's just a way to connect these two tables, which is actually not possible in Excel or Sheets. You just have a table like budget, and you say budget for June, budget for July, but they're there, but they never connect. Whereas I can say, this is my money, and this is the money for the house, and this is the money for the college fund, and you can connect all these different environments together. So it's a new concept for some of you, but that's the power of kind of relational databases. So back to these fields, we have a username, an email, and a password. And I've mentioned that there's different kinds of inputs. So here we have text, because a username is gonna have a type. But as you can see, email, password, integer, which is number, decimal number, address. Address is alphanumeric, but it's structured and recognized differently, just like a US phone or percentage or currency. So these are different kinds of inputs that the field will receive. And then you can have all these different options here. So here I say email, and I say password. So that bubble will know. So then, we put our username, password, etc. But now we want to write some logic. We want to say when the button is clicked, we want to take all that user input and we want to do something with it. So in this case, we're signing up. So we're going to go to this workflow. So we're going to have a shortcut to that workflow tab. And as you can see, we have two actions. When the sign up button is clicked, we're going to sign the user up. So that is a native action to take that email from that email input, take that password, and then I'm gonna add that username, and I could add many other fields if I had like your age, the city you're from, the school you go to, whatever. I could have all those different fields, but now we're keeping it simple. And so we're saying take those values inside those fields, and we call them variables in code, but in this case, we're just not even going that deep, and so we're just taking whatever's in that field, and when we click that button, it's gonna create a new item in our database, in our data table for the users. So we call this signing the user up. And then we just say, when you're done with that, just send us to the index page, which effectively is our feed. So take this, say Steve, code for y'all, password, and so I'll just show you the data. God bless you. I see here we have no Steve, and if I do it now, it's gonna create that account in the background on the back end. And it's gonna then take us back to our feed. So here's Steve, and that's that simple. So then there's no photo right now, and I have no photos on this laptop because it's not really a laptop. But if I wanted to go to my profile and actually do this, I could upload a photo, so on and so forth. So this is kind of the basic application building. You have stuff in front of you, back end, front end. You have back end, you have data, etc. Now, any questions before I just show you kind of how Bubble works in terms of just creating pages and making interfaces in front end? Does anything make sense so far? Yes, sir.
What about some different and some difficult logic? For example, if after pushing the button, I need to collect about million profiles from able.com about the lawyers. Can I do this data scraper?
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, because the thing about this is that if you just put a button here, right, and you say scrape, okay. I don't know how to use this computer, but the trackpad really sucks. Scrape lawyers. Obviously, you're talking about leaving the platform. You're talking about going onto what website?
Able.com.
Yeah. So you're talking about.
Oh, for example, google.com search results or something.
Yeah.
Anything from the church site.
Yeah. So you probably want to use. There's probably an API provider that does scraping. There isn't.
No, in case if I will have API provider who can do the scraping, I don't need to build my own, right?
Well, you would have to have some sort of interface and or code it to call on that HTTP.
Yes, thank you. You're right, but I'm asking about different tests, especially logic. Can I build the logic like that with your data builder?
So if you're talking about like writing a function, right?
Yeah.
So you can inject custom JavaScript, right? So that's something you can do. You probably wouldn't use JavaScript for that. You might use something else. So I don't venture that far, but if there's something that I want to do, I usually, it's like build versus buy, right? That concept. I just buy it. So I just connect to some other tool that does the scraping, but now scraping is going to return raw data. So how then I collect that data, I can just put it back into the database. And then I can either manipulate it and or visualize it in whatever way. But yeah, I mean, there's ways to inject custom code, JavaScript primarily. There's ways to kind of wrap different kinds of code. But usually for things like that, there's an extension that's the API connector. I know that you said that wouldn't be your preferred method, but this is effectively like having Postman built in. So you have like a baby Postman inside, but it just operates within your domain. So that's kind of what I will do. So what I will do here, I'll probably do a GET call, right? So to whatever, HTTPS, whatever, lawyers.com. and then I could just do stuff, you know, whatever. I don't know exactly, you know, and then I can kind of have,
So can I repeat this code later several times with different parameters?
yeah. So you have parameters here, right? So so this is just like Postman. And again, I would have to understand the problem that you're solving. I know scraping, right? But not only can you repeat it later, but you can schedule it as well. So cron, right? So you can pretty much accomplish anything. There are certain things that, you know, just like in the JavaScript or, you know, whatever domain, you're gonna call in some packages, right? You're gonna install some packages. Like any project is going to, like if you use Rails, you didn't build Rails, right? So, but you're gonna leverage gems, you're gonna leverage, you know, NPM, whatever domain you're in, you're gonna leverage somebody else's code. You might tweak it and modify it, right? So this is kind of the way to abstract all those complexities, and effectively you're kind of pulling packages. That's kind of the best analogy I can give you, without necessarily having to, you know, deal with it. But yeah, there's JavaScript injection that you can use, but look, different tools for different jobs, right? So if you need to have a specific scraper, etc., you're like, well, then why would I? If there's an API, then why would I build it? Then why the fuck would you build it? Use the fucking API, you know what I'm saying? Like, just use it. So this is ways to, you know, to build stuff that, you know, everything already exists. Like, why would I build Instagram for myself? Because I can, because I want to. So
that API connector is a very good thing if I got how to use it, but I believe to build website with no code skills is not still possible, because we cannot do at least to send messages, text messages for all our customers by clicking the button. We still need to hire developer for that, right? As a developer, I came to your event afraid that I will lose my job. No, I'm not.
I don't know about the last part, but did you not use Twilio to send text messages?
Yeah, I just did this service for a business in Los Angeles, and they send like 6,000 in a day. You cannot do that with JavaScript, right?
But do you use Twilio for that application?
Yeah, we use Twilio as one of the provider. It's a connector with 7 providers and rotating SIM cards. But you're right, guys.
Yeah,
you're right.
Yeah, so it's the same thing. I mean, so if you talk about scalability, you know, again, we would have to test it, but, you know, I don't think that this is the forum to discuss such
But
grave matters.
GPT can generate the HTML code in seconds. Same
Yeah.
can do for SQL, create table query, right?
Yeah.
So if there is no visual programming languages in this framework, Bubble.io, it's looking not so useful, because at least you remember Google had in 2012 a visual programming codex for the children who wanna become programmers.
I wasn't born then, so I don't really know. But anyway,
It was so funny, it was so
any
easy.
questions that are for children like us and not for adults like him? Anything that we can talk at that simple level? Yeah. So, even though ChatGPT could do it in seconds, I'm sure you already built a $1 million business while we were just talking about buttons. You know, so one way to actually interact with this, so we have a blank page, right? So we have visual elements here. So this is pretty much like, you know, Microsoft Paint, whatever you wanna, you know, whatever you wanna reference. But you know, we have text, so you can just drag a text thingy here, and it says edit me, and then it pops that dynamic data, right? So that really means that I can actually connect that to my database here. Now this is gonna be a little bit complicated because there's all these different like menu items and whatnot. So I can do a search for, which means I can look through that database that we looked at earlier. I can get you know, data from APIs, and I can do all kinds of stuff, right? But if we wanted just to say, and again, this is not a design class, right? So, you know, we're just learning how to drag things, and then, you know, if you want to make it red, I want to make it blue. That's your own creativity. So I can say, this is a title. And I can then change, this is gonna be just like any other, just like any other, even like, PowerPoint, So it's like a PowerPoint. You can move things like this. You can have buttons, right? You can have images. And again, those images can be generated by dynamic sources like a database. You can then have HTML. You can have video. So really, you can build any sort of page. You can have drop downs, right? So any sort of page can be built. Now, this is sort of the baby version. So there's also ways to build things in what they call like a responsive way. So I can actually change the layout style. Now it's called fixed, and fixed really means that we're just dragging and dropping and things are just fixed on the page. But if I were to select column, everything is going to stack vertically. So I don't remember if there's a software out there that does this. Oh yeah, I'm sorry. So in this particular platform, kind of when you double click on anything, it opens up a dialog. So like if I open this text, it's gonna open that automatically. And if I wanted to close it, and if I wanted to reopen, I could just double click it. It's kind of a unique way of doing it. Some other software like Photoshop even, they just have that sidebar always stuck, and then whatever you select, it actually shows you the properties of that. But so if I were to add just a bunch of different elements here with this new layout type that I selected column, right? So instead of things just kind of going where I tell them to go, they'll just stack on top of one another. And that's great because when you're building something like, in this case we have like that Instagram or whatever, you kind of just want things to just kind of flow, right? So that opens up different properties like, all right, on this kind of stack, then I can move things in the center or on the right, right? So I can start, I'm not gonna build anything meaningful right now, but not only this, but you can also do stuff like choose properties like the width of the element you selected, in this case this button. You can unselect that and it will stretch. So if you want to have things that are what we call responsive, so if you have a large screen, the photo is going to stretch all the way, but it's going to resize accordingly. Sometimes, when you have some sites or some apps, the photo just get like chopped and you have to like scroll away from the screen type of thing. So this is a way to kind of do that. So not a very meaningful way to represent that, but these are kind of the two different ways. Now the previous way, the drag and drop, not recommended because it doesn't really scale, and you are going to have problems when you have fixed values. Things are going to just be fixed. So my phone is different than your phone, your computer different. The resolution is going to be different. So you actually prevent resolution issues by actually creating responsive UIs, which is user interface. In this case, we call the front end in that sense. Is there anything that we want to build real quick? Is there, maybe you can even tell me, go to this website and just recreate a page or an app. Sometimes we do like how much time do I have? Are those flashcards in your hand? Yeah. Are those flashcards in your left hand?
No.
Or that's my paycheck? Okay.
Yeah.
He's holding on to it until the end. He's gonna have. So is there anything that we can build? Because sometimes we do like a clone, like in this case we have Instagram, right? So it's like a square and a heart and a title. Is there anything that's not obviously too crazy that you want to see built, like a not a calendar, but like a contact, like a contact?
Comment section. Can you build a comment section to
Comment section, yeah. So what is a good design for a comment section? YouTube or
Okay, can you draw on the board?
or somebody can actually, we can actually sketch it and we can build it. But if there's like, if you really like the comment section on TikTok, for example, I've never been on TikTok because I'm not like 18 yet, so I'm not allowed, but.
I like to do that. It was like a phone book. I don't know if you older people remember that we had a phone book, paper phone book. And it's titled. Let's go.
Yeah,
It's
that-
titled.
Actually,
This
you
is
can build a comment section for that. Because that one doesn't.
I was gonna mention that, we could build a comment section from, that's on that same flow.
Great minds think alike. Yeah, you're right. So comment section for this. See, I was already on a different planet. So yeah, we can build a comment section. So great. Let's workshop this, right? Now that we're all informed enough to know that we have users and we have posts. Now we need comments, right? So we're building comments. So that's how I would personally start. Now I could actually build. We could build the UI. To be honest, I'll show you just real quick how to do it. So we go to that index which is our feed, and I know how this kind of works. In this kind of blueprint, I know that this is basically what we're looking at. This is populated, so that's with all the photos, right? So what I'm gonna do, and by the way, you already learned about fields, right? And we learned about buttons, and we learned about that workflow and that logic. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna add a field, a text field, right? So text field accepts. You want me to rebuild the entire thing, or we do with comments? You want me to rebuild the entire thing, Josh? How about this? Yes.
Could you just quick show us what are the different pages that exist already?
Yes, 100%. So I'm gonna go up here, and I'm actually gonna delete this new page that I created earlier. New page. I'm gonna delete it. This is all. I have an index, which is our feed. I have a login page. We looked at that because we logged in. Profile, where you can log out or change your name. Sign up, where we signed up. New post is where you create a new post. I'll show you what that looks like. Actually, I showed it to you, but I didn't have any photos to upload or something. Settings, it might be the profile thing. And then we have a 404 and a reset password. So those are the pages. So I'll show you how we navigate from page to page. So this is the index. This is the new post. You can see changes up there. It says new post, like in the address bar right here. And this is also a field. This is an image upload field, and this is the description, which we're gonna make that comment look pretty much like this. I like this photo, right? And we can pretty much do it just like that. And then we can go back, and then we can go to profile, which I call settings, so on. So we have a handful of pages, and they kind of use the same elements. It just looks a little bit different because it's like, oh, this is where I changed my avatar and all that kind of stuff. So are you okay if we're gonna just do the comment and then we can just rebuild it later in about 15 minutes? I'm gonna use your MacBook though. Can I use your MacBook later to rebuild it?
Oh.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. I mean, I just wanna make something.
Oh, let's make something. So we've learned about all that good stuff. So how about this? Let's actually just put the building blocks on the page, right? So I'm going to look for an input. Fields, inputs, same thing, right? I'm gonna drop it in here. As you can see, I have all these different lines. That's because I'm using that responsive engine, right? So things are not gonna go where I want them. They're gonna go in the flow of the page. So I'm gonna just click and drop this right here. And I'm gonna say comment. That's my placeholder, right? I also like to name things. And I like to name them using a system called BAM. It doesn't matter for you, but it's just a system that I use. So it's C for component, and I'm gonna call it input, and I'm gonna call it comment. So I will know in my element tree what it is that I'm looking at. So now I have this comment box. You can see it's already building itself. I'm gonna double click on it, and I'm just gonna use that feature as a feature I showed you earlier to make that stretch all the way, right? So I don't have to control. In fact, I'm gonna remove that minimum value, and I'm gonna keep that 48 because I like that height. So then I like to just preview my page all the time. I'm just kind of deploying it. So now, magically, we're like, yo, we can add comments. Yo. Cool, right? But we've learned that we don't get anything for free. It's cheap, but it's not free. I can just comment. We gotta write some logic, right? So, super easy. Y'all thought I was lying, but it's really that easy. So what we're gonna do, I could either put a button, but I think I'm gonna try and do it like this. It might break, but here, see, prevent enter key from submitting. I think I just wanna push enter and call it a day. I'm that lazy, I don't even wanna use the button right now. Actually, no, I gotta use it because otherwise you're not gonna understand what I'm doing. We have to write that logic. So let me take that back. I'm gonna put a button right here, right below it. All right, and I'm gonna do the same trick. I like things to just flow on my page. I'm gonna let it stretch. And I may even just do something else. First of all, we're gonna name it. See, butts in, comment.
What's the C for?
C is for component, and I'm gonna show you why I use C as opposed to an L for layout. So layouts are just sort of phantom containers that hold my things together. So for example, this is a great question, so I'm gonna say comment. I'll say send. So check this out. If I want to select these two elements together, and I actually want to, I want to say group elements in a row container, they're gonna automatically go in there. And instead of calling it group, I'm gonna say L for layout, and I'm gonna say comment section, right? This is just what we call hygiene. Yes, it is a code term for the developers in the room. We do say hygiene, and we keep things neat. All right. So then I'm gonna actually remove that stretch because I actually want things to fit width to content. And then I'm gonna select. This is just me being a designer right now. I'm gonna select the. I really want to select just the group. So I know I have my L comment, and I'm just gonna apply a gap between my elements. I'm gonna just put 16 pixels right there. So I have a little bit of a gap. So now check this out. Let's actually preview the page. The magic. This comment section is actually happening on every single item. I can comment on every photo. I don't have to rebuild it again. It just happens because it's an array. So I'm just using that one as my what is that, specimen or template. Call it template. And it just duplicates. So now we've learned already how to do this. Can anybody tell me, or do I have to tell you how to do this? I'll do it, but you can tell me. You can tell the others how to do it, or I can just tell you. But I know that some of you already know it. Steve knows, but Steve cannot comment.
No. Anybody knows? Just while
Put
yes.
something in your table to store wherever you're gonna put it.
Yeah, right.
That would be necessary, yes. But because we've learned, so there's multiple ways to get there. But you're absolutely we originally started this, but then I was like, let me just build it real quick. We have users and we have posts. Let's think through it again. Say a user can have multiple comments. And a post can also have multiple comments. But a comment can only belong to one user. So we have to build that structure. So what I think I'm gonna do live, no edits, I'm gonna say comment. I'm gonna make a table for comments. It comes pre-built with a creator, so I don't have to build that. So we know that that comment is gonna be created by, it's gonna be logged by that user. And then for those who are actually logged into the app with your phone, you can actually go and comment as soon as we deploy it. But a comment is gonna have text. What do we call it? Content? Content. And the field type is gonna be text. Yes, you could comment with photos. Yes, you could comment with whatever, but we're gonna say, keep it simple, comment as content, which is text. Let's create some relational database stuff. A post can have comments, which is a list, and now because of the magic of databases, we can actually say, is it what kind of field is that? You're cheating because you came prepared, but that's absolutely true. We can create our own data types. We no longer have to stick. We're no longer limited to text and numbers and dates and US addresses and phone numbers. We can make our own. So now, let's review this. So we're like, all right, user, just like we created that post thing, we can maybe bypass it. We'll try it, because once we display that data, we have to figure out what makes sense for us. But we have comment, which have content, which is text. Creator comes pre-built, so whoever logs that comment should show. But a post can have a list of comments. So let's actually now hook it up all together. So we're gonna say, let's create a workflow. When button comment is clicked, I want to create a new thing. Bubble calls data things. I'll leave it at that. They just call it things. They wanted to make it so simple, they just call it things. Yes. They don't call them entries, they call them things. So we're creating a new thing. What type of thing is this? We're creating a comment. Now, this might backfire. We're gonna try a couple of different ways. I think this is gonna work, but then there's a different way to make it work. We're gonna make a new comment. Perfect. And by the way, if I were to do this, you see we have this debugger up here. It's telling me something is not right. But if I actually say I want to make a comment, okay, it's all good. You even get this like Christmas present. I don't even know it. I never clicked that button. I don't want to click it now. But there's a Christmas present there. So if we were to push this button now, and I'm just not sure what's going to happen, nothing is going to break. But let's take a look at our database, where now we have a new table called comments. And these are just rows, but there's actually no rows. But if I were to now press this, I think I created a comment, because that's what we told it. We said, logically, you have to create a comment. I think I made a comment. And there it is. I am Code4Y'all. And I created a comment at 8:02, which was just a few seconds ago, but there's no content. Because I said just create a comment. So it means create a new entry, a new row in my spreadsheet. I didn't say add content, and where's the content coming from? The text box that I called, I think I named it, because that's usually what I do, C input comment value. So you see, this is English. If you remove the C dash dash whatever, this is what I call it, but that's just a real reference. You literally just said, when the button is clicked, create a new comment, which we call thing, but it's an entry. So add a row to my spreadsheet, which is just created, called comment. And if this sounds too easy or too complicated, literally this is what it is. It's a spreadsheet. Your Instagram is powered by a spreadsheet, not really, but you can think of a spreadsheet that shows Kim Kardashian's new post, whomever's on there right now, I don't know because I don't use it, but it's like tweets or posts on X now. They're just a visual representation of a table. So now I said, create a new comment, content, which is what we determine that text field is labeled as. Take the value of that input and just give me a new row. Okay, so now we have one row and it's empty. Let us preview the page one more time. And what I usually do, just to pat myself on the back, I just say it works. That's usually the first. It's like the hello world of comments for me. I say it works. Now we don't get anything for free. We get it for cheap, but not for free. So I'm gonna press send. And you're like, what happened? Nothing happened. Now nothing happened with the front end, but guaranteed, it's right there. So now the designer in us, the aspirational front end designer, developer in us, has to say, you know what, dude, it works. We just wrote some data. We just left a comment. Like, the first time you actually build like a little Instagram account, it's actually super satisfying because you're like, I could do it for a football team. Like we got our own little private thing, right? Or like I said, I developed a platform for the Italian consulate where we amplify scientific efforts of the Italian community abroad. It's the same concept. And we just shipped it, like within days. Like we don't, and they're like, oh, you know, we didn't think about this feature. It's already done. Like as you're telling me, I'm building it because I'm writing English Lego blocks, right? It doesn't matter. We collected hundreds of submissions from scientists. We had hundreds of interactions. We amplified, like we accomplished our mission. Everything else doesn't matter. We could have hired developers, very expensive and complicated developers to work with. Doesn't matter.
So it scales without any problems.
Look, does Instagram ever crash? Yes. How many developers do they have? Thousands and millions. And how much more? Shit crashes. Does Netflix sometimes take a little bit longer to load? Yeah. Shit happens. Like,
It runs AWS now, right?
pardon?
It runs AWS now,
This is AWS, yeah.
oh, okay. So yeah, AWS does crash.
Yeah, AWS crashes all the time. Yeah. Let's be honest. But
And then half the internet goes away.
you don't have to, right? So this is Postgres, AWS. Like it just uses whatever everybody else uses. So if Netflix crashes, we crash too. Slack crashes all the time.
Right.
So
But it's cheaper than hosting it on your own data servers.
yeah. And I mean, look, you can use Airtable. You can use Airtable as a database, which runs on AWS probably, right? But you can use Google Cloud. You can use whatever. Like you can have a little server in your basement. You can do whatever. You can run on your local machine, Postgres or whatever. So, but I don't have time for that. I gotta ship. I gotta get users. I gotta get credit card payments. I don't have time to think about other things. So now we are officially developers and designers, but we still got stuck with that thing. So now we can actually get into this UX, user experience. Still speaking English. I know I'm not very fluent, but I'm trying. It's my third language. Italian, HTML, English. Fact. So,
Is HTML a language?
That's what the L in HTML stands for.
that is an existential question that Sam will answer, Pam will answer. But yeah, so when we click that button, we create a comment, but we encounter, right, this is not really ideal. We're not gonna do like confetti and like congratulations you posted or it's being posted. We're not gonna do that. And we're also, okay, we're gonna list the comments underneath. That I'm gonna concede. But click that button, make a new comment, and what I wanna do, if you agree with this, we're just gonna clear out that field. That's it. That's the only experience we're gonna have.
When you created your comment, did you say it belongs to this particular post?
You know what? I may have not done that. That's it. It actually, I didn't do it. I didn't do it. And that's why I said it might backfire because I didn't do that. But let's see. Because so how do we architect this? Right? So you see how comments is empty here? So we want to pull that. And it should be fairly easy. So we're going to still create a new comment. But the problem now is that I don't really have any fields. I only have content. I can put more content forever.
But just do it in another action.
Well, you wanna combo it. So there's two ways to go about it. Right? That's why I said there's two ways to do it. One, we can have a comment, and now we can actually go back into our comment table, super easy, and we can say a comment belongs to a post, right? And then we can assign that value. So I can say field type, post, one, no list, right? So now I'll go back to my workflow, see this is how easy it is, and that in that field magically I'll post, and I say post equals parent groups post, period. So let's do this again. So as a developer, he knows because he hires them. If you told somebody, hey, that feature that took you 3 months to build doesn't have that value, it'll take you 3 more months to build, wouldn't it? I just built it. And so I can say, this post is called no code, and I'll say, it still works, right? And I think I used the right shortcut, but if you go to the table, now, it still works, and the post, we decide to reference it in a unique ID. I can actually change that and say post, description, because I don't think I gave it a name, I can give it a description. So now it's gonna call the post. Super easy. So it might backfire in that sense, but we can fix it within 30 seconds. So that's the power of not dealing with the over-engineering. Another way would be, let's actually destroy this right now. So I'm gonna click that comment button, I'm gonna say create a new thing, and I'm gonna create a new post. Actually, no, that's wrong. I still wanna do a comment. Actually, you know what? This is. I don't want to make comment. We already solved it. Let's keep it that way. That works. Post is the parent groups post, and that's it. Let's go back to the original thing of clearing out that comment. And so here we have all these different actions separated in categories like account. We want to sign the user up, log them in, log out, update credentials like passwords and stuff. We can navigate to different pages. We can go to different websites. We can do things like creating new data, deleting data, copying data, downloading it as a CSV. We can send emails, super cool. You can actually have like these like email apps that are super cool. Like for example, every time somebody leaves a comment, you get an email. Hey, somebody commented on your thing for free. Payments, which you can install. I like to just hook up my own payment stuff. Analytics, again, you can use different things. Element actions, you can make buttons appear, disappear, and also reset inputs. So we're gonna do that as well. We're gonna see that basically says will it reset or will it clear? Okay, I really don't want to use this computer. Will clear. Send. We don't get any confetti or like posted. We could do it. I'll show you how to do it. Just to give you a couple of different quick wins. We have that. We have plugins, custom events. So you literally name it and it can be done. So I like this. It looks clean. I like that you can send a comment. Let's do 2 more things. Oh, one more thing. Am I done?
No, go.
One thing or two things. I'll do two things. We'll show the comments, we'll list the comments, and we'll put a message that says you posted something or like posted. So let's do the posted message. We call this alert. So I'm gonna grab this element here called alert. I'm just gonna drag it in here, and it's just gonna go, like I said, into the flow of the page. But I'm like, you know what? I want to have it at the top. I want to stick it at the top, and then I want to style it. So first of all, we're gonna call it see alert posted, and the text will say posted. And then we're gonna do the stretch thing and all that kind of stuff. And so that's only going to appear when, so we'll say, create a new comment, reset the value, and then show an alert. Show message in an alert box. And I can do all kinds of fancy animation, I can change the message. For example, check this out. I said posted. What if I wanted to actually display the message that the comment that I just commented on that thing? I could actually get that dynamic value. So when you actually go in here and you get this blue thing, you can actually access whatever other information exists in different areas, including from your browser, what time it is, or whatever, like whatever exists in your computer. So I'm gonna actually say insert dynamic data, and I'm gonna get the result of step number 1, which we know because we made it together, is the comment that we created. And I'm gonna say, get the content of that and display it up there. So let's actually show it real quick, and I'll show you how to actually have dynamic and static data at the same time. So we'll say, show me the alert. Alright, so we're gonna grab that text, we're gonna put it in the database, but we're also gonna pass it into that thing right there. So show me the alert up there, boom, right? And sure enough, if we go to our database, there it is attached to that post. Now, what I like to do sometimes is also saying stuff like, sure, I can show that post, but I can also say, what, or you can say, your comment was, right? So I can actually use static text with dynamic text. So let's do that here one more time. We'll go to a different post and we'll say, this art is cool, right? And then boom, your comment was, this art is cool. And sure enough, there it is, right? Last thing, and then I'm getting kicked out. Let's display the comments under the post, right? Seems logical. We call lists repeating groups. So I'm going to drop a repeating group somewhere here, and then I guess for some reason I'm just going to go in here and just drop it. Where do I have it? What is this? There you go. I'm just gonna put it under my my comments section. As you can see, you can kind of like go into these different. Yeah, I put it in the wrong place, but somewhere in there it should go. So just a matter of positioning it on the tree. And effectively, this is gonna look a little bit ugly right now, but this is a list. A list of what? What type of content?
Comments.
Correct. And then we have to say it's comments. So it wants to know, because different data has different structure. So we know that there's comment in there, but now we want to grab it. We want to call on that database and be like, send me the information. So I'm going to click here. I'm going to say, I could say, where's that data coming from? From the parent post's comments. And it works. And now if we refresh it, I'm not gonna do it, it's gonna be blank because it's just a list. I need to insert, in this case we have text, right? If we had like a list of photo responses, it'd be photos. I'm just gonna drag some text in here. And then I have to dynamically say, we said comments, but then comments have current cells comment, content, post, creator. In fact, now we can say content, but then we can say by current cell comment, creator. Creator email, username. You see, you can do all these concatenation. You can start creating all these different complex but very logical, like you can read it in English. Now, some terms, admittedly, like thing or current, might not be in every other language, but now we know that we've commented on certain things, and I do encourage you, those who are actually logged in, to comment. Now it's not showing up. Why is that not showing up? Let's troubleshoot. It should show up.
You didn't store the comment in comments column of the post.
We have to switch chairs. You should be sitting up here. You're absolutely right.
Or
So,
can you do a query?
well, so the way that we solved it earlier, so you said, so okay, let's troubleshoot what I just did, right? I have a group of comments, correct? This is comments, right? But we said that there's no comments to reference that post. Is that what's going on? So we have comments.
No, if you look at posts, then you look at the comments column.
There's nothing in
There's
it.
nothing there, 'cause you didn't store it there.
So either we store it, or
We did, we put the post in the comment record. He didn't he didn't tag on or push the comment to the existing comments for the post.
so
So you can either query for it, or you can go back into your other action and add another update action that says, for this post, go tag this, add this comment.
let's try it. Let's try it on. Let's try to reverse it. So we said that in our comment, I'm sorry, in our post there's no comments, or the other way around. I forget now.
Well, you have columns for both, but you're only filling in one of them right now.
So my comments reference the post, but the post doesn't reference the comment.
Well, yeah, the comments field there, you just fill it in.
So what if I said, grab the contents, grab the comments content just for this post. Let me try that.
Query it for it.
Comment. Oh, but because the post.
Doesn't have to come.
Can you do SQL?
We don't do SQL. We do this. Check this out. We're gonna say comment. We're gonna do a search for comments, but just like in SQL, we're gonna say only where the post equals the current post. And now it's just a query. And now it doesn't work. But we can still troubleshoot it. So let's troubleshoot it. Oh, you know why? Because comment, which is here, has content and has post. Alright, so the comment, that's clear. So comment, we're gonna search for comments, correct? Where the comments post is the parent. Oh, wait a second. I know why. But you get it. We might not get it done in the next 5 minutes, but you get it. Let me see. Says posts. Oh, yeah, maybe we can just actually add that column, because you're right. I mean, we should have actually added comments in here, right? So, but at the same time, I don't really want to do that. Like, I don't want to call, like, I don't want to query a post. I want to query comments that only exist in that post. Wouldn't that be more logical to just call them comments and then reference that post?
I like having links backwards, because that's what Airtable does.
So you want to reference
But however you want to do it.
So you want to reference the post comments, the post's comments, right? Let's try that. So,
Like, why don't, in your workflow, why don't you just do both? Just add on to your workflow,
to create both.
to fill in the comments for the post.
So okay, let's do it. So when you make a comment, you create a comment, right? With the content and the post, right? And you're saying also create
Do an update on the
make
post.
changes to a thing, the current post, comments, we're gonna need to, I wanna say we need to plus item. So this is where you get into the SQL stuff that right now I'm too tired to do it at this time. Now you're losing me. Let me actually clear this out. So first of all, let's do this. Let's make a change to a thing. And the thing is going to be the current post. This is live. All right, so we're going to change this post, right? We're going to update this post, correct? When we click the button,
You should create the comment, and then after you create the comment, then you can add it to the post, because there's nothing to add to the post if the comment hasn't been created yet.
It's more important for the post to know what comments it does.
okay, so,
For the comments
okay.
to know what post.
It's gonna be faster that way.
Yeah.
So, comment, add, yeah, I'm gonna create it here. So, I'm gonna create a new thing,
Create a
comment, and I'm gonna say the content will be the text of that thing. What is that? Comment, input comment value.
And just for the heck of it, just still fill in the post, because you can, it's cheap,
Over here, right? Post,
you know, so you can go back and forth.
and that's the current post, right?
Mm-hmm.
Actually, post, and then when update the parent group's post, adding the comment from the previous step. That's what we wanted, right? And then
Well, yeah, I mean, you do have to make sure that you append to what's existing and not just replace what's there,
so
in case there's an existing comment.
yeah, so that's what we have add,
Okay,
right? And the result of step one, we created an object called comment. We're gonna store it. We're gonna add it, append it. We're gonna reset those inputs and then show that message. Now, let's try one more time to post something. Now, we're not going to see the comments yet because we have to query that. So let's just say that, boom, we get the confirmation up there visually. Oh, actually, your comment was result of step one. Content, right? Yeah, this is the one. Okay, so we look in our database and we have comments. All right, and posts, comments. Now we can change the primary field from unique ID to content, and that's going to show zzz, right? We got that. So now we can go back into our query here, and I think I know why this wasn't working because I think I put it in the wrong group. But now we want to look at post, correct? Data source is
no,
You wanna do comments or you wanna do posts?
We want to look at posts, but the data source is the post's content. So the type of content is a comment,
Yes?
but the data source is the parent group's post's content.
And
Yeah.
that's how we had it before, but that column was empty.
Yeah.
So let's actually bind, so current comment, so we already had it, just that the comment, that column was actually empty. So now, theoretically, we
But it
come,
should be there already.
yeah, wait. Most times, but not this time, when stuff is not appearing is because of a privacy issue. But
Well, we just don't have data for all of this. We don't have it for that.
I think so too, right? Because we didn't really add that data, didn't we?
One. We didn't,
Yeah, then you should still see that one.
yeah, we didn't see that one.
If we call them comments, this is a comment on that post. And on these posts, there's one comment. I think it's because I put it in the wrong group, to be honest. Because let me see. Let's try this. Let's try post. Data source is post comments. Each item's content. Oh, so we can just probably do this text. And then,
Oh, type of, okay.
well, we can do it in different ways, because then we can say, we can technically iterate through the, I'm like literally too tired for this right now, but, yeah. Strange. I think I put it in the wrong group, to be honest. Anyway, that's how you don't do display it. But the data is there. We just have to display it. I'm just blanking out now. So hopefully you have learned something, at least how to like things, post things, create accounts, the difference between front and back end, some UI work, some stuff like that. Any questions, comments, concerns, anything that was.
What's the cost implication? If we use this platform, have to pay some subscription or what?
Yeah.
Is it all expensive?
Super expensive. No, it's like free, but it's like $29. Yes, sir.
So how does Bubble make money?
I don't know. That's them. Subscriptions, enterprise plans, but yeah, it's a subscription based. Yeah. So you basically get like all of the value for so you get all the value with the free plan. So all of the features, should I say, with the free plan. If you want to attach your custom domain and also access certain advanced features that regular folks wouldn't really need, then you pay $29. And then there's like a $60. There's a few tiers, but effectively, when you pay more, you get dedicated storage, dedicated computing. Yeah, so 0, 29, and 119. So it's nothing. It's like $1 a day, and like literally, it's yeah. So I got a stalker in the room. I got a stalker and somebody who's also promoting stuff right there. So you want to go to this link? Yeah. So I don't know what the I get asked all these questions all the time about like how these companies make money. It's really not like I don't make 10% out of $29. But it's interesting, so I'm not dismissing that, I just find it interesting that, we never ask how Google makes money. And so, these are startups. So Bubble is actually an interesting story because it's two guys, French guy and American guy, right? They started about 10, so it's a great business story, it's a great business success story. So they started over 10 years ago, and the company effectively was the two of them for about 8 years. They might have had some contractors, but they built this company, the two of them, and they were profitable from day one. Because they were able to actually build, the platform didn't function like this, it might have looked like this, but it might function differently. And they actually built features based on customer feedback. So originally it was like, build a website, and then, oh, but we also want logic. We can build it for you. So they started building features based on actual customers. Some of their customers were like, look, we either hire a developer for $10,000 a month, or we'll give you $10,000 a month to actually build us the platform that will save us $10,000 a month for the rest of our career. And they actually raised $100 million a couple years ago. But this is, so no code is like the buzzword, like AI, like blockchain, like this and that. So all these companies are raising like 20, 30 million. The biggest company that you can't even buy, they don't even tell you the price. You gotta get on a call with them. I think it's like 500,000 a year, something like that. It's called Encore, and Encore is actually backed by Google Ventures. They raised like hundreds of millions of dollars. And they really focus on enterprise. So like municipalities like City of New York, etc. I don't know if it's like Morgan Stanley, some large financial. So they really do the same exact thing, but they have all these like fancy sort of enterprise grade kind of features. But effectively, everybody's kind of stepping in that game. Amazon actually recently discontinued a no-code platform called Honeycode. Glide is a great app, no-code app builder. Everybody's really competing in this space. Bubble is just the more mature. They've been around for the longest, and maturity also is shown in the community. If you ever have a question, if you ever lost, you can just go to the forum, and somebody has struggled with this before, and you'll find the answer for it. Some of the other ones are like the one I showed you, Flutterflow. So that's a mobile-first cross-platform builder. So it really depends on what you want to build. But for me, I'm not a fanboy of any one platform. I don't make money by showing this to people. I make money when I ship a product that took me 20 minutes to make, and I'm evaluating whether or not somebody's going to pay for it. And so I'm not trying to spend more than that on some offshore development, shop that's gonna stretch me for 6 months. So so that's the power of. So if you haven't learned anything, but you still have an idea for an app and have no idea how to build it, literally just sketch it out and just go learn how to build stuff, because now I can just get a phone call from like, I don't know, my cousin's little league or whatever, like, I got you, like, just call me back in 2 hours and we'll just ship it. So that's the benefit of it, and that's the tool for that job. You can process credit card payments, you can do whatever you want, you can have an educational platform, you can have videos, you can have audio recording, whatever you want, you can do it. Everything else is kind of what I call like vanity features. If you want to have like a swipe, a zoom, a this, a that, mobile. Look, I work with clients that are like, we want to have iOS first, iOS only, but we also have the money to actually pay for that luxury, right? Other people are like, we need to go to market. Like, we need to sell our product. We don't have the luxury to wait around. We don't have the luxury to pay double. When you do something like React Native or Flutter, you build it once and it works across all kinds of platforms. And for example, we did a project for a medical company, and you gotta go through FDA approval. If you have an iOS app and an Android app, the FDA has to approve both. So that takes, 18 months each, whatever. Maybe not 18, but. So when you actually build it once in a React Native framework, the FDA only deals with one code base. Mega advantage. Like, that was a strategic recommendation we made. We're like, just build it once. Don't get caught up in the, what is iOS Native gonna give you for this FDA approval, stage. So anyway, I hope you got a little bit more confidence perhaps in the fact that you can build stuff. Don't ask your parents for money. Don't go into debt. Don't put it on a credit card. Don't get a reverse mortgage. You know, I always say I will never disclose the amount of money and equity that I lost because I didn't know about this. So I'm a big advocate for this because the reason why I started doing this in Houston because I did a coaching session at Jones Business School at Rice, and I was a coach at New Enterprises session, and one of the teams was like, "That's a really promising, idea. It seems like they really put a lot of thought into this idea." They're a team of 5 and everything, and I'm like, they for sure have thought this through, and they got a technical co-founder in it or whatever, and they finished the pitch by saying, and we're looking for a CTO. And in my mind, I'm like, do you know what you just said? And I asked them, they're like, no, we don't know. I'm like, you just opened up yourself to giving away money that you don't have and equity that you cannot afford to give away just because you had an idea. I was like, what you just described in that pitch, that I can build in 20 minutes. And I'll build it for you for free just to show you that at that level, where you're in that validation stage, nobody cares about whether this is a native app or not. If the customer is not gonna swipe the credit card, and even if they do, and they don't ask for their money back after 30 days, that's what you care about. Don't care about anything else. So that's really what prompted, this sort of kind of open sessions where, whereas some folks might have concerns like, I'm tired of, overpaying, never getting things delivered. So it's really about empowering folks to understand, look, at least you have that option. And you can find some people that can really build it at speed. Maybe you still pay them say $100 an hour, right? But it takes, a fraction of the time. And at least now that you see that some things can be hacked together, you should really get that first deliverable within 24 hours, not, sir, we'll need 6 months before you see anything. We need to start swiping credit cards. That's the goal. Or else you're just playing video games, which is fine. I call this video games. This is fun. Sometimes it's like